And we are joined now by the goalie for the New York Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist. Henrik, it's Michael and Don. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. I need you to straighten something out for me. Don was with me on Friday. I wore a black suit with a purple shirt and a thin black tie, and he said he didn't like the thin black tie, and I told him that it was in, and he didn't believe it until he saw you wear it the other day.
Yeah, well, it's not for everyone, but I think you probably look good in it.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I looked very sharp, but thank you.
Course,
Do you feel confident going into this series, Henrik?
I think we feel pretty good about where we are right now as a team. We know it's going to be a great challenge for us. Philly's been playing well, especially second half of the season, just like us, and they have a lot of skill up front. But I think the way we've been playing for the past 2.5 months, it's been really good for us. So I believe in us, and I do have a good feeling.
I know you watched the game the same way I did on Saturday from the sidelines, so I was really surprised how well the team played. No St. Louis, no Girardi, no McDonough, no need to win the game at all. But maybe it's part of your DNA now that this Ranger team just doesn't seem to want to lose games, even if they're meaningless, right?
Yeah, I think what's been helping us, we've been believing in our structure, and that wins you a lot of games, you know, when you have maybe an off night or so. If you just stick to what we've been practicing on, talking about it every day in practice, and then on top of that, you have a lot of skill and guys that can step up in key moments. But when you can rely on your structure and you know, do the right things out there over and over again, it's definitely going to help you in the long run.
From the outside looking in, Henrik, it would seem that John Tortorella was a pedal-to-the-metal sort of coach. I mean, he was really driving you guys all the time. It looks like Vigneault is a little different. Do you guys come into these playoffs in a different mindset than you did when Tortorella was the coach?
Hard to say. You know, I agree it's a different type of coaching. I like both styles, but they're just so different. But obviously this year, what impressed me with AV was his patience early on when things were not going so well for us, and he understood the process for us to get where we needed to be to have success. You know, it was a new system and a lot of new things for us to get used to, but it was good to see the patience from the entire coaching staff and just believing in the group, and obviously going into the playoffs to have that type of coaching staff that believe in the group and very supportive, and hopefully it's going to help us.
Do coaches change from the regular season to the playoffs? This is your third head coach since coming here to the New York Rangers, Hank. So are they the same way in the regular season and the postseason?
Well, I think all coaches change a little bit when the pressure is on a little bit more, maybe a little bit more yelling and stuff like that. But for the most part, they're pretty much the same when you look throughout the season and the playoffs. But obviously during the regular season, you have games where it's a little more intense and maybe a little more importance that night, and you can see maybe a few changes, but not a lot. You know, they're pretty consistent with the way they coach, the way they talk, and so you know what you're going to get in the playoffs as well.
We're talking with Henrik Lundqvist, Rangers goaltender. They start their series against the Flyers on Thursday at MSG at 7 o'clock. You could hear it right here on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Is this the last piece of the puzzle for your career to be complete? Because the one thing that you don't have is the Stanley Cup. You've done everything else. Olympics, back in your home. You've done well there. You've done everything you could want, Vezina trophies. Is this the one thing that's missing, and does that put pressure on you?
Well, it's definitely a thing I want to accomplish, no question. It's my biggest dream and goal to try to win the Cup. But I'm not going to put an extra pressure on myself to try to get there. I need to just focus on what I need to do and try to help the team here. But I think going into the playoffs, it's finding that balance of putting the right amount of pressure on yourself to perform as good as you can. And I won a couple of championships back in Sweden and the Olympics, but this is, it is another level. You know, there's the best players in the world, and when we went to the conference final a couple of years ago, it was so much fun. It was a great ride, and you learn a lot, but it was not all the way, and I'm hoping this is the year for us.
Now, maybe you're not as good as far as points are concerned as that team 2 years ago that flirted with the President's Trophy, but more road wins than that team in 2011, 2012, clinching before the season's over, which is something that usually always would go right down to the wire. Any similarities between this team, Hank, and the one 2 years ago that went to the conference final?
Well, there's a few similarities, but I think every season is different, and that year it felt like everything was going our way from start to finish. We had to work really hard in the postseason, but during the regular season, things just kept going our way. This year, it's been a little different. You know, we had a bumpy start, and it was definitely a great challenge for us to try to overcome that, and we did. You know, our second half of the season was really strong, and it was great to see the way we were playing as a team. But I think, you know, when you go into the playoffs, you don't really think about the regular season. You just go in here and take one game at a time and try to peak here. And I think we all are really excited to get going and look forward to this challenge.